So, hey friends, it's 4 a.m. here in the West Coast, but we were reviewing these headphones that someone requested because I got to do a little comparison in a short later. But yeah, these are the Soundcore Liberty 4 NCs. Nice little guys that we've been playing around with the past week or so. But yeah, there's plenty to talk about, but we got to get to our flights. So let's move over to the workouts that we did, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more when everyone's a little bit more awake.
For working out, these work well if you get a good seal. Being a STEM design, it should fit most of you better than non-STEM design headphones. For jumping activities, I found them a little bit troublesome out of the box, and I had to do a lot of refitting. After my second or third workout, however, they seemed to break in a bit and shifting around a lot less. However, the refitting was still needed periodically and the problem didn't completely go away. When it came to non-jump rope activities like calisthenics or shadow boxing, the fit was much better and I had no problems with shifting fit. The earbuds stuck in nicely and provided a solid seal to block out the weather and suburb noises even without ANC. Distance also worked pretty well. I didn't get a full test because I didn't have a field to use. However, I was able to get around 50 yards away without any connection hiccups. So I think they should follow the standard Bluetooth 5.3 distance. The one thing I noticed while working out is that the touch controls require a more hefty tap than other headphones I've tried. The controls are at the top portion of the stem and you have to be accurate and firm to activate the control. While it does prevent mistaps when adjusting, it does make it a little bit annoying to navigate your tracks and volume mid-workout. It also just wasn't pleasant to have to tap so strongly against my ear canal. As for controls, they are quite robust. They have a separation between the left and right earbud, which gives you a lot of options. Each earbud has a single tap, double tap, triple tap, and a hold gesture that can be completely customized in the Soundcore app. You can set any of these gestures to adjust volume, control playback, activate voice assistance, or cycle between ANC and Transparency. I like this as it gives me control over everything without needing to pull out my phone, and that's something I extremely value when running around the city.
So, it's a rainy day here in Boston, so obviously you're going to hear some wind, a little bit of weather, but hopefully I'm still coming out clear. From what I heard, it's still relatively solid, so I think you guys should be okay. I will say that the fit is kind of annoying me with this rain. I don't want to put a hood on, but let's go inside so you guys can see this for yourself on how this would work on calls in a more controlled setting. So we're back from outside after we got the package. And yeah, the microphones seem to be holding up pretty well. I will say that the fit's kind of annoying. It definitely slips more than I would like it to. I was adjusting a lot, which was annoying because I'm wearing a hood and all that sort of stuff. So wasn't the best ideal scenario for fit. Again, I had some issues when working out, as I mentioned before, but from a microphone perspective, I think they should be good even outdoors. Obviously, very good indoors for conferencing, work calls, talking to parents, whatever you might be doing inside. But yeah, I think that's all you guys need to know about the mics. So let's move on
to the basic overview. We got a little jumbled up on this one. The Soundcore Liberty 4 NCs come in 5 colors, and this one you see here is navy blue. I thought this looked the sharpest of the bunch. These headphones are relatively lightweight and boast 11mm drivers, so you should be able to get solid sound and volume out of these. While the main proposition of these headphones are the ANC power, we have to talk about the 10 hours per charge battery and the 10-minute quick charge that'll give you 4 hours in the case. As for the case, it'll give you 4 additional charges to your earbuds. I legit never had to charge these all week and I simply love that. Just the peace of mind of not having to wonder if my headphones are charged is wonderful. Once you do need to charge this, you can use both USB-C and wireless options. I also do like the spring-loaded nature of this case and how it pops open and presents the earbuds with a light. It's a nice little touch there. So moving to sound mode, you have your normal, which is your passive, ANC, and transparency, like most headphones these days. What I'll say is we should start with the passive is because there is a sort of weakness here. So it does feel lightweight in ear, and as a result, I feel like it just doesn't sit in the ear as tightly because it doesn't have that weight behind it. And as a result, it just doesn't passively block out noises as much as other headphones, like things like as cheap as the Moondrop Space Travel or even the Denon Pearls that are much more expensive do a lot better about that. So just putting it in your ear on first glance, you already hear things kind of getting blocked away. You do feel it with the Soundcore a bit, but it is very apparent that these noises are there and they just are a lot louder. However, as we move into ANC, that's where these really shine. So these are obviously have the NC moniker for noise cancellation. So that's a big thing that's important in their marketing for this. And it holds up for the most part. Again, these are like $100 headphones, and they do a really, really good job about blocking out the low end. And then the mids are pretty decent as well. And then at the high end, it's like every freaking headphone struggles with that, but it does still block those higher sounds out more than some of the other headphones out there. Again, it's not going to do as well as, like, let's say the Denon Pearls, but the Denon Pearls are also $320. These are only $100, yet they're still pretty comparable. There's just slight edges on the noise cancellation on what the Denons can do, but the NCs for Soundcore are still amazing at this price range. I don't really hear any low drowning from the airport. I don't really hear anything really in cafes. Really, the big thing that I hear is like if there's birds chirping, or if there's a honking horn, or, you know, any sort of high-pitched noise like a whistle, those will still come through. But again, like I said, like, compared to other headphones I've tried, it still does a good job at blocking those out. Like, the other ones will just pierce through. These ones will be muffled, but you'll notice that those highs are there. And then lastly, as we go into transparency mode, the transparency mode is very, very solid because the microphones for the actual mics to talk are really good. Generally, also, your transparency is really good. I will say that this does a really good job at this price point to really bring out the sounds and actually give you a little bit better hearing than you normally would. So just like the Denon Pearls, these kind of give you a little bit of super hearing because you can hear conversations from a little bit further away, and everything's just very apparent and natural. So when talking to your barista, it's not going to sound super digitized. You won't be compensating with volume because it's just going to be talking like normal, like you would. So I do really like their transparency, and I feel like it's extremely effective. So all their sound modes sound good. So let's get into some sound samples so that you guys can hear this for yourself. So obviously with music, there's a lot to talk about here. And if you saw my Soundcore Liberty 3 Pro video, you know that the Soundcore app is extremely robust, not just, you know, modifying your controls or doing firmware updates, but they have a lot of different mixes and a lot of customizability that is present for presets to really tune in the sound that you like. So obviously you can do Hear ID where it kind of tunes it for you. You can create your own preset. They have a lot of other presets that you can toggle around as well. For the purposes of this, I'm strictly going to be talking about the out-of-box tuning because obviously everybody's ears are different and their tuning preferences are different. So I'm going to use the stock tuning as the baseline here. So all of these things you hear about these songs will be based off of that baseline. The sound on these overall is very solid. You have that 11mm driver that can push out a lot of sound, so you're really never going to have volume issues across any song. It doesn't matter how quiet it is, you will have enough volume to rock whatever song you need to. The thing that does come with is just certain songs may come harsh, so we'll get through that as we go through the song analysis. The first song that I went through was Pretty Little Fears by Black, and I love this song for these headphones because it really showed the distinction of like the chimes. Like that's a really important part of that song, and it also just helps with the layering of the song and all the different instruments coming in at different points. Like it's very apparent, and I like the fact that I can hear like each part come through and really hear, like I can really isolate the parts. So I'm not really like, you know, it's not like a bunch of mushy stuff. It's just a lot of things that you can hear the distinct elements, and I like that a ton. As we move on to the next song, Dumabi by Rema. I think this one was really nice because his voice sounded dope. I think it just stayed around and had a lot of power behind it. And it also balanced really well with the bass line. So nothing was really overpowered. His vocals didn't go to overpowered. And I think the instruments complemented his voice very nicely. And, you know, it's just that balance was there. And I really, really liked that. Mayor Hawthorne. Mayor Hawthorne's also one with a very distinct voice. I like the directional instrumentation that this song introduced, so I could clearly hear where the instruments were coming from, and his voice maintained that haunting aspect that it has. So he has a little bit of a ethereal tone to him that sticks around beyond the note that he sang, and they do a good job at representing that. The keys really shine here, and I think that the balance is super nice. So like there's a lot of stuff going on. They're coming at you from a lot of different directions, but it's never overpowering, and it does a good job about shining his voice. But obviously these aren't all sunshine and rainbows, so there's definitely going to be things that kind of had problems. So the first one is Moonwalker by Yama. This is a J-Rock song. Percussive elements, super nice. I don't know what happens, but when you get into like the full band portions where all the instrumentation is all there at once, her voice just kind of gets lost. And it sucks because I do like how it sounds when her voice is not with the full instrumentation, but when they get to the big powerful parts and the horns come through, they kind of just, take over. I do like how the horns and the strings sound, but they kind of just take over once they get introduced and her voice gets lost. And generally when you hear that with another headphone, it doesn't do that. The next song is 𝐷riz, Let the Good Times Roll. Second has like a nice reminiscent song for me because I think my first review ever I used this song. But yeah, you had to like, because I told about the volume, right? Super powerful and all that sort of stuff. At the higher ends, it can get harsh. So I literally had to bring this down half just to listen to this song properly, because there's just so much harshness in that. I don't know what it is. Obviously the low end wins out here, and it really just kind of swallows the whole song. So the higher parts, the mids are just lost there. The lows win out, and then when the horns come in, you're just like, especially if you're over 50%, like, yeah, I had to like fix my ears after that one. But again, you never have a problem with volume. You just have to make sure that the song that you're using is at the right volume. So the next song is Acacia by Bump of Chicken. This one was like used in I think a Pokemon music video. But this one also had kind of issues with harshness. So this one has a lot of like cymbal crashes, and I don't know why I spelled cymbal like that, but it's with a C. But they just sound out of place, and there's just a lot of messy stuff going in behind the vocals. So the vocals get lost. There's just a lot of like crashing going on, and the vocals and the lead guitars get basically eaten alive. Like I can't hear him at all. I don't speak Japanese, but I can't hear any enunciation behind his words. I can't see like how his vocal progressions are. It's just lost. It doesn't help that the bass also wins out on this one. So you have a strong bass that eats the song, and then you also just have a lot of noise going on in the background that is not distinct enough to like allow the vocals or lead guitars to shine at any bit. So it's gross. Yeah. And then finally we'll go into Wake Up by Clyde Lawrence. His voice sounds dope on this. I think again, this is going to be an issue with the cymbals. So anything that's like hi-hats, cymbals, like that sort of crashing element in the percussive elements can come out harsh. And again, you may be able to tune that away. So don't throw that away. There's a lot to do in the Soundcore app. But when I'm talking stock tuning, voices and instruments are good. But once you start bringing in those like crashes, it's like, woo, my ears. But overall, when those weren't introduced and there's the full band portion, super well balanced, and I did like it. So I'm kind of half and half on this sound signature. And again, like I said, there's a ton that you can modify with this. So I'll kind of think about this for a bit, and we'll bring it in the end of this review about my overall recommendations. But here's some sound samples. Hopefully this helps you guys understand what I'm talking about.
Viver para ser simples, dia para ser feliz, tirando tempo só para amor, casa que perepis, ouvindo fim preto branco, e as nuvens a passar. We'll be drinking champagne on the beach of Malibu, cruising down the boulevard, kissing in the backseat of the car, making love under the stars. Would you like to be satisfied with me? I've been counting moments
So when we go to recommendations for the Liberty 4 NCs, I don't know, like they're kind of an incomplete for me because they'll work for a lot of people, but for some reason, I just personally wouldn't use them when I have all these other options around. Let's just start from the beginning. So like obviously when I started using these, the fit wasn't perfect for me. Like for working out, they just kept slipping out. And usually with stem designs, I don't have issues with that. This one just particularly had an issue. And the need for a stronger tap also just wasn't nice inside my ear. So the fit and function wasn't super nice for me. However, when you are thinking about using these as your daily drivers and running errands and listening to people and blocking out people and all that sort of stuff, you really can't go wrong with these, because at $99, this is probably one of the best active noise canceling headphones and transparency sound that is out there for that price range. It even swings up to things like the Denon Pearls, which obviously are so much more expensive, and you know, they back close to what they can do. So the NC is really good, or ANC is really, really good on this, and you sound natural when listening to people on the transparency. So nothing to complain about there. But then when we get down to music, you know, I had all those issues with cymbal crashes, and I had all those issues with some sort of the balances or just bass lines overpowering and swallowing the song. So there are certain songs that sound super balanced, and there's some songs that just fail. Obviously, they have a ton going on with their app. You can use a lot of their presets. You can make your own. You can use 𝐻Ear to help resolve that. But just out of the box, I wouldn't personally recommend it. But if you do like these and you're willing to go through a little bit of sound tuning to figure it out, I think you'll like these a lot. And that 10-hour battery is freaking ridiculous. 10 hours. Like, you get through a couple days. If you're a light user, you know, you can get through maybe 3 days if you're a super light user. But if you are like using this as your daily driver, using it for work, like you could literally do like overtime. You can be non-enemy and just do overtime for 5 days in a row, and you're freaking solid. But like, even in those instances, you won't need to charge throughout the week, which is super nice. So there's a lot to like about these. Just personally, I won't do this. Would I recommend this to you? Probably for the most people. I'm just a little bit more picky than most. So if you are interested, there'll be a link down below, but definitely check these out. I think a lot of people will like these. Anyway, sorry for sort of the back and forth on the recommendation here, but I appreciate you guys sticking around with the content. This one actually came from someone in the audience, so I do appreciate you guys directing my content and telling me what I should review next. It really helps me drive the content on this channel. If you could, please like, comment, subscribe, do all things you normally do on a video that you like and love. And as always, I appreciate you. Hope you had a great holiday.